What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saved by the Code, where I keep you up to date on all the happenings in the cryptocurrency world. Man, oh man, we got a juicy episode for you today, as usual. Lots of juice to get to, lots of crypto juice. We got Microsoft shareholders voting on a Bitcoin reserve. Russia wanting to implement a Bitcoin reserve. Everybody wants a Bitcoin reserve these days. It seems to be the thing to do. U.S. Treasury dubs Bitcoin digital gold. Amazon may want a Bitcoin reserve too. Microstrategy buys more Bitcoin. What do you know? Should Trump eliminate the capital gains tax on crypto, Bitcoin? Of course he should, but will it happen? We will see. So many good stories. It's just so hard. You have to just pick and choose. I just want to talk about everything, but you just got to pick it, which is a great problem to have. There's so many good news stories, and it's just a great problem to have too much news, too many things to talk about in crypto every day. Google's got a quantum computer. Oh no, is crypto in trouble? We'll see. Oh my gosh. More companies raising capital to buy more Bitcoin. Peter Schiff is yelling at Bitcoin again. No way. What's new? Tell me something new. And if you watch the entire episode at the end, I'll talk a little bit about the Byzantine generals problem, a problem in computer science that was thought to be unsolvable until Bitcoin solved it elegantly with proof of work. But, all right, let's get right into the juice here. The market is not looking so juicy. It's not juicy, but I just say not four times there. But it's taking a dip, and this is good. I know we just want Bitcoin to go straight to $1 million, but these pullbacks are healthy. If something goes up too quickly, it's not good. The technicals overheat, it crash. The bull market's over way quicker if things go up way too fast. I mean, we just went from 60, 70,000 to 100,000. It's okay. Everything's fine. We're sitting at 96. Just a little cool off, a little discount. If you got some cash to buy some. No financial advice. Nothing in this episode or any of my shows is financial advice. But if you got some dry powder, maybe ignite that, because you're getting a little opportunity here. Stuff's dipping, and it's fine. The whole bull market's intact. It's not over. We're not going down. We're not going to zero. Everything's just fine. And we're just preparing for another leg up. I mean, we've seen already some mind-melting gains. Mind-boggling, melting, whatever you want to call it, gains. This cool-off is healthy. It resets the indicators. People chill. It's like we get used to these prices. Everybody's like used to Bitcoin being in the 90,000s now. It's so funny. I was looking at the chart. I think Bitcoin spent one day in the $80,000 range. One day. So Bitcoin has only been from $80,000 to $89,999 for one day in that range. It took one day. So chill. All right? Everything's fine. We want this nice steady rise. We don't need these crazy straight up to $500,000 in 3 days rise. Nice steady rise over the next year. Hopefully two. I think we'll see a prolonged bull market here, given this next administration that's coming in and all these stories I'm going to talk about. It's like hard to find bearish news. It really is. The most bearish news I saw was that El Salvador is changing its Bitcoin legal tender law from making it mandatory to accept Bitcoin to optional. That's the most bearish thing I saw. And I didn't even include it in today because there's just too much stuff to talk about. I had to pick and choose, but that is the most bearish thing I saw. It was to get some access to a loan from the IMF, because the IMF is a bunch of little angry little stomping children. We won't give you money if you. Like, there's all these terms for them to get a loan from the IMF. So they had to alter that just slightly, because it used to be mandatory, and now they're maybe making it optional to get access to a bunch of money from the IMF. Because the IMF has been a bunch of whiny crybabies who can't handle Bitcoin like a lot of people can't. But I'm going to start with the most, I thought, one of the most newsworthy pieces of the day. Microsoft voted on whether or not to implement Bitcoin Treasury strategy, Bitcoin strategy into its portfolio, and it got voted down. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that they can't handle Bitcoin yet. These big companies, they can't do it yet. It needs to be at like $5 trillion. The argument being that it's too volatile. It's too volatile. We can't handle it. Oh. I mean, I understand a lot of these companies are extremely conservative when it comes to their money, but the whole proposal was 1%. 1% of their cash reserves, put it in Bitcoin. And you're for real going to say no because it's too volatile. Like, that's just silly if you ask me. And it was just 1% of their $78 billion that they have on hand. 1%! Like, are you serious? And you're going to say no to that? It's just ridiculous. $780 million. Just throw it in. Come on. 1%. It's not 5%. It's not 10%. It's 1%. And you won't do it because it's too volatile. I mean, that's a terrible excuse. If that's the only reason you came up with why you're not going to buy Bitcoin, it's just Microsoft. Come on. You need to chill out. I don't know if you notice what year it is, but it's 2024, and Bitcoin's taking over the world. Buying boring things with your money all the time is boring. But yeah, they voted it down. Totally saw that coming. I talked about this in one of my previous episodes. And they're just not ready for it. I don't think these companies are. I don't think Amazon's going to do it. They're apparently talking about it too. They're proposing 5%. The important thing is that the fact that this is even being discussed and voted on is huge. That's ridiculously bullish. And when Bitcoin hits $5 trillion and Microsoft goes, we'll buy some now. This is what will happen though, because like they won't buy now, but then when it hits like 5-6 trillion, they'll buy and pump the price higher. So, all right, we got a future bag pumper here. They'll be forced to. That's what the thing is with like investing. You're forced to have to once certain things reach certain levels. Like you just can't ignore them anymore. And not buying it now, I think, is really silly. But like I said, the fact that it's being discussed and talked about is huge in and of itself and massively bullish. And I'm happy with it. Regardless if it was yes or no, the fact that it was voted on is huge. Massively bullish and goes to show you how much things have changed. Microsoft is voting on whether or not to have 1% of its cash holdings put into Bitcoin. That was like a crypto bro's pipe dream, like a wet dream like a year ago. I guess I'm no crypto bro, so it was my wet dream like a year ago. And it's a reality now. They're even, huge, massive. And I'm sure we'll see it, like I said, when it gets to the 5-6 trillion, they'll pump our bags even more. We'll pump it to 5 trillion and then they'll take it the rest of the way. Thank you. Thank you, Microsoft and Amazon, for taking us up to 10 trillion. And it's like wild because the US as a country is about to do it before these companies are. Oh my. But yeah, the fact that's being talked about is huge. And then this next story, Russia is talking about a Bitcoin reserve. It's like the new thing. Like it's like the fact that it's just being talked about is huge. And I think it might, if Trump does it, Putin will do it. And Putin, like I mentioned in my last video, was talking about how unstoppable Bitcoin is. He was like, he's unstoppable. Bitcoin unstoppable. Yes. And he's right. A dictator saying something's unstoppable is pretty powerful there. It's pretty powerful stuff. And it's being discussed. It's being discussed at the highest levels. And it's really wild. And they're even doing it, it says here, quote, in conditions of limited access to traditional international payment systems for countries under sanctions, cryptocurrencies are becoming virtually the only instrument for international trade. It's true. It's true. What happened whenever the whole, they got their assets seized, they're frozen, a bunch of Russian oligarchs, and guess what can't be seized? You guessed it, the B word, Bitcoin, yeah. So, a lot of things that have happened over the years have shown just exposed the failings, the shortcomings of our antiquated crap systems that are from the 70s that don't work on the weekends and money gets lost and you get censored. Like, I think, what was that? Like, when the truckers in Canada, they were trying to get a GoFundMe page or something going and they got blocked, censored. And they were starting to use Bitcoin. It's like, it's unstoppable money. And it's unstoppable technology. And if you don't see the value in that, I mean, and I'm going to talk about that later here. There's these guys that are like, these there's always like, I just don't see the clear use case for Bitcoin. I just don't know where the value is going to be. We can't evaluate its fundamentals and where it's headed. We just don't know. It's like, are you kidding me? How blind are you? How blind are you? If you can send infinite money to anybody in the world in 10 minutes. How is that not valuable? You can send $500 billion. You could send $500 trillion to someone in 10 minutes on Bitcoin for $5. $10. How is that not valuable? That just one property of it. Oh man, I just think their brains just can't like process they just can't. They're ill-informed. I don't want to say they're dumb. I don't know these people, but I just think they're really ill-informed and haven't like researched it enough. I think they just read a few little silly articles about Bitcoin and no one really got down to like the meat and potatoes of what Bitcoin does and what it can do, what it's capable of. And that's how I bet so many of these people base their knowledge of Bitcoin on. They read like some random little articles that went into no detail, and that's like what they think of Bitcoin. When they miss so much of it, I bet none of these articles talk about how Bitcoin solved the Byzantine generals problem, which is what I'm going to get to at the end of this episode. So elegantly, with proof of work. It's a problem that was thought to be unsolvable in computer science, and then Bitcoin comes along and solves it. It's like, no one talks about that. No one understands that. No one even gets the significance of that. I mean, a lot of people don't. I'm not saying no one, but that's something like so many people they have no idea it even was a thing. Anyways, I'll talk about that at the end of this episode. We gotta keep moving here. So yeah, Russia, another Bitcoin reserve. Microsoft, Bitcoin reserve. Amazon, Bitcoin, whatever. It's just like, no big deal. Nothing to see here. Just everyone wants a Bitcoin reserve. No big deal. No big deal. That's not a big deal, right? It's only the most big deal ever. This next story, U.S. Treasury confirms Bitcoin's role as digital gold in emerging economy. Yeah, because we needed the U.S. Treasury to tell us that Bitcoin was digital gold. Thank you, U.S. Treasury. Really appreciate your opinion. Thanks. Just thanks for your input. No one asked, and you're a little late to the party, but all right, I guess we'll take it. I guess it's better than not, but it's just so funny how we recognize Bitcoin as digital gold in December 2024. All right? I'll have you know. Okay? That's what we think. It's like, okay, we've known this for 15 years now. Oh, it's so funny how late and slow these big agencies are that people like think are just like so amazing and oh wow, the US Treasury oh wow, they're just so smart and so this and that. So many of these organizations move so slow and so inefficient and don't work and are so antiquated. Like, anymore when I hear of like a government agency or something, I just think of like slow moving like mud and like just inefficiencies, incompetence. Okay, so here's a quote from our good old Treasury. Oh, wow. The Treasury's report underscores the swift expansion of digital assets, but notes the market still remains small compared to other traditional financial instruments. Wow, what an observation. They're so smart. How did they see that? I didn't see that. I didn't even know that. Quote, the primary use case for Bitcoin seems to be a store of value, aka digital gold, in a decentralized finance world, the Treasury stated. Wow. Good job, little Treasury. You did it. You pass kindergarten. Um, the financial regulator noted that Bitcoin has established itself as a store of value akin to gold. Wow. What a joke. Now it's recognized. It's official. If you didn't think it before, it's official. The US Treasury said it's digital gold. Wow. The sad thing is that a lot of people will probably be like, "Oh, now it's digital gold. Now that the Treasury said it. Oh, wow." But I guess this is progress. It's just so funny how late they are and just how like, "Oh, well, duh. We've been saying it for 15 years, Mr. Treasury." But all right, welcome to the party. I guess we'll let you in. Okay. So yeah, Treasury now recognizes Bitcoin as digital gold. Thanks, Treasury. No one asked. But sure, come on into the party. Have a beer. All right, next story. Amazon urged to buy Bitcoin as Microsoft shareholders control whatever. So now Amazon wants Bitcoin reserve. Wow, whoop-de-doo. Another one. Okay. And they all they say is that it's volatile. Yes, it is volatile. I don't know if you know how a smaller market cap asset works, but that's how they work. The smaller the market cap, the more the price moves. The higher it goes, the less it moves. So it's just a little fun fact there. I mean, these big they just don't seem to understand that, these bigger corporations. But like I mentioned, I guarantee you they vote no, and the life goes on. And they'll buy in later, 5-6 trillion, and pump the bags more. So I hope they say no, so that when it pumps to 4 or 5 trillion, they're like, "Oh, we'll buy some now, pump it more." So doubt Amazon will buy Bitcoin. I would be surprised. That would be pretty cool. But I doubt they do. But, then that would cause a flurry of... I think now what needs to happen, though, is January 20th, the inauguration. Markets don't like uncertainty. And even though we are certain that the election's over, there's always the next uncertain thing that markets... It's just what they do. It's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And then it happens, and then the euphoria, and then blah. Like... Okay, what's next? Like a week later. The patience and the attention span of anything anymore is like zilch. Including my own. But yeah, anyway, it's just the fact that these are being talked about that's the story here. Is that it's being spoken about and considered. Is the whole story here. I don't really need to read anything from this article. But yeah, okay, yeah, inflation, protecting inflation, Michael Saylor, Bitcoin, yeah, okay. It's volatile, but the fact that it's being spoken about, huge. Huge. That's what we need to appreciate here. And it's huge. It's just crazy. These stories are insane. And notice how this is just all happening after November 5th, because we are going to have so much... The regulations are going to relax. Everything's just going to be like... It's not even like a worry anymore. Like, the SEC coming after you. Scary Gary, I've heard it been called. Gary Gensler. Here comes Scary Gary. Oh, gosh. Get your lawyers. So, the fact that these are being spoken about and considered is the story here. Next one here, Microstrategy. What do you know? Meanwhile, Microstrategy buys another 2.1 billion of Bitcoin. No big deal, nothing to see here. Now they hold 423,650 Bitcoin, and they acquired 21,550 Bitcoin last week, funded by share sale. It's just wild. And I think, do I have that? Yeah. And then this story I have later on, but I may as well just talk about it now. The Bitcoin miner Riot also announced a $500 million raise to buy more Bitcoin. A miner is buying Bitcoin. They mine Bitcoin and they want to buy more. Why aren't we at $1 billion Bitcoin? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I can't tell you. Part of it is market manipulation. Because there was another crazy flash crash just like yesterday or something, maybe even today. And where people over leverage, they get liquidated and it causes cascading event. And it causes the price to dip like $10,000, like 10% like a second, and then like jump right back up. It happens in bull markets because people get over leveraged. They over leverage because they're like, oh, it's going to $1 million. Let's do 10, 15, 20x leverage. And then they get screwed and it causes a cascade. It happens in every bull market. It's natural. People get wrecked. So high leverage is just so silly. I mean, 3x should be like the max. Maybe 5. Maybe. Anything more than that is just absolutely reckless. Absolutely reckless. Unless it's maybe money you can just afford to lose. You're just like, screw it. I'm going to put 10, 15, 20x leverage trade in a few hundred, whatever. Everybody's situation different, but that can be kind of fun, actually. Leverage trading is fun. You just got to do it with money you can lose, and you can't overtrade. You can't over leverage. Just all depends. If it's like you can afford to lose $1,000, you're like, yeah, whatever. Let's throw $1,000 in 10x leverage. Let's see what happens. It's just for fun. They are pretty fun. But most people don't do that. They overtrade, they over leverage, they spend way too much money, and then they lose money that they couldn't afford to lose. But anyways, that was totally off topic. But Microstrategy, yeah, bought more Bitcoin, yeah, big deal. It's like, okay, tell me something new. But it's just insane, the conviction of this guy, Michael Saylor. They have I think they own more than close to like $45 billion in Bitcoin, 420,000 Bitcoin, just so much Bitcoin. Yeah, they just don't stop. It's really crazy. They own 2% of the supply now. You go, Michael Saylor. And Riot, a miner, is buying more Bitcoin. Crazy. Crazy. This next story, kind of, I don't know. I think a lot of people are thinking now that it's too late to buy Bitcoin. It's over 100,000 or it's 100,000. It's too late. It's over. It's never going to $1 million. It's done. And the thing a lot of people fail to see, they just look at the price. No one looks at the market cap. No, everybody's like, oh, it's 100,000 too expensive. Okay, what if the market cap was $10,000, but the price was $100,000 because of circulating supply? This is how it works. You divide market cap by circulating supply and you arrive at the price. Okay? So the price is kind of irrelevant when it comes down to it. It's just about market cap, really, and circulating supply. Okay, Bitcoin's a $2 trillion asset. The upside potential of that is huge. You shouldn't even be looking at the price. So many people, it's like everybody just goes, they see 100,000, they go, oh, too expensive. Not going up anymore. Like, look at the market cap. The upside potential of that is massive. You can go to the $10+ trillion market cap range easily. And people, it's just how humans work, I guess. They see, XRP is at $2.30. Oh, it's so much cheaper than Bitcoin. Why would I buy Bitcoin? I can get so many more coins. But then you look at the market cap, and you're like, what the? The market cap is $130 billion. There's a lot of upside potential there, too. But they see the price low, too, and they're like, wow. A lot of people go, why would I buy Solana at $213 when I can buy XRP at $225? Who would do? What idiot? Who would buy Solana? Meanwhile, Solana's market cap is $30 billion lower. You got to look at the market cap, folks, not the price. But anyways, no, it's not too late to buy Bitcoin, not financial advice. This is just what you hear every single bull run. It was too late to buy Bitcoin at 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I could just go all the way up. All the way up. It happens every single time. people thought $20,000 was, or $10,000 was, that was it. In 2017, it was like, this is just out of control. There's no way Bitcoin goes up anymore. Boop, goes to 20 grand. And now we're at 100. I mean, it's, but this is what these pullbacks are good for, because it gets you used to a certain price. And I just wanted to read some quotes from here from some guys that I think are very ill-informed about Bitcoin. And he says here, quote, Bitcoin clearly has some things going in its favor. The problem with Bitcoin is that it's unclear what drives the underlying fundamentals of the asset. If somebody were to ask me where Bitcoin is going in the next week, month, or year, I have no idea. It's not clear what drives its underlying fundamentals? How? How is being able to move hundreds of billion, as much money as you want, anywhere in the world in 10 minutes, without a middleman, how does that not tell you everything? Like, if you pitched that to a room of investors, they would laugh at you because oh, it's not possible. What? It's crazy. You need a middleman. You need a bank. Digital gold. What the heck? How could you do that? Get out of here. See ya, loser. You could get laughed out of the room if you tried to pitch Bitcoin, I feel to a room of investors. And I feel like people are just ill-informed and don't recognize the significance of that. You don't need a middleman to move money anymore. It's huge. And that's just one aspect of Bitcoin. And this shows to show you that people are so ill-informed and just still have no idea what Bitcoin does. And I guarantee you this guy just he hasn't done any research into it. He's probably read some silly articles and just formulated his opinion based on that. Guaranteed. I mean, I don't know, but I just don't understand how you can't see the value in a decentralized, censorship-resistant, unchangeable ledger that allows you to move and store value without a middleman. I don't understand people that do not see the value in that, and I think they're just very stubborn or just very intellectually dishonest with themselves. And if you can't see where this is going, it's what more do you need? I don't know. It's hard to see where it's going to be. Who knows? Yeah, it's going to be volatile, and I can't tell you where it'll be next week, but I can tell you, I would be willing to say with 100% certainty that Bitcoin's price will be significantly higher in 4 or 5 years than it is right now. Just saying. I don't know. Just throw that out there. That's my prediction. Bitcoin's price will be higher in 4 or 5 years than it is right now in December 2024. All right, I said it. That's my prediction. If it comes true, I'm a genius. All right, next story. I got to keep it moving here. Got a lot more stuff to get to. Not a lot, but some more stuff I want to talk about. Trump has already been talking about eliminating capital gains tax on Bitcoin, hopefully crypto. And I think he's even mentioned all American-made cryptos, which would just be so sweet. So sweet. I mean, him just talking about U.S. being the Bitcoin superpower, making Bitcoin in America, just even talking about no taxes on crypto and Bitcoin. And, wouldn't that just be that would be so beautiful. No taxes on crypto in the U.S. would be so wonderful. And I think he'll try to push something through like this. I don't know how easily that will go through. The IRS is an SOB, but that would be so sweet. The weight lifted off of so many shoulders would just be immense. And the amount of business that would flood here, the amount of money that would flood here in response to that, I mean, it's already going to, because of how how friendly the regulatory environment will be. But if that happened, it would just be ridiculous. And all over the world already, there's so many places that you don't have to freaking do this. You don't have to spend any. You don't have capital gains tax like Portugal, Luxembourg, Belgium, Switzerland, Germany. Wow, Malta, Turkey. There's just so many on this map. 0.0000000. Then you got U.S. 15 to 20%. You got Brazil 22%. Just all these. India 30%. Just destroying people. France 30%. Give us our money. Like, so Denmark 42%. So disgusting. Speaking of Bitcoin being made in America, Bitcoin ASIC miner Bitmain expands production line into the U.S. Yeah, that's already happening. Like, it's so crazy how many things happened after November 5th. And this is a China-based company, and they're going to be manufacturing Bitcoin miners in the United States. It's crazy. It says here on their X post, Bitmain is thrilled to announce the launch of its new production line in the United States. The strategic moves aims to provide faster response times and more efficient services to the North American customers. First batch of units will be delivered this December. I mean, because these miners used to have to wait like weeks, and their stuff would get stuck at the port of entry and all this crap. And now they're making them on U.S. soil. That's insane. The Trump effect is so real. Like, and I think maybe this is in response to the tariff threat. I don't know. That might be it. But yeah, it's crazy. This stuff's already happened, and yeah, I mean, like this kind of stuff was happening. Report in late November claimed U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency delayed the delivery of Bitmain's miners at the U.S. ports of entry. Some miners have been forced to wait 2 months to access their hardware. Yeah, that's intense. So they moved here, and it probably isn't in response to the tariffs, but maybe. But it's just funny how it's all like Trump wants it all made here, Bitcoin. Not all of it, a lot of it. But now Bitmain's here. Crazy, crazy stuff to see. I guess this is old news. I mean, it's just crazy. This just Cynthia Lummis, senator from Wyoming, wants us to sell gold to buy Bitcoin, 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years. If that happens, I don't even know. There's your $1 million Bitcoin, folks. Easily. All right, let's talk about Google's quantum computing breakthrough. Yeah, apparently this is a massive development, and it was 30 years in the making. And it is a quantum computing chip known as Willow, and can process computations at a mind-boggling pace. This mind-boggling number, quote, exceeds known timescales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe. So apparently, this quantum computing chip can solve problems in less than 5 minutes that would take the best supercomputers around 10 septillion years to solve. 10 septillion! Mind-blowing. And they even went as far to say that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse. Like, what? We're pulling computing resources from other universes with quantum computing? My gosh. Imagine that. In the future, we have like multi-dimensional Bitcoin mining, multiverse mining. You can like pull mining. You can pull together mining power from different universes. Oh my gosh. But this was nonetheless interesting just in and of itself, but how does it relate to crypto? That's what we know. And that's what we want to know here at Saved by the Code. How does it affect crypto? Is Bitcoin done? Is Bitcoin over? Is Bitcoin going to zero? Is that what's going on here? Not even close. So, according to a lot of really smart people, they're a lot smarter than me, this has 105 qubits. And apparently you would need 13 million qubits to achieve decryption within a 24-hour period. To break Bitcoin's encryption, you would need 13 million qubits, and this one has 105 qubits. Okay, that's a lot more qubits. But computing typically exceeds at an exponential rate, so maybe we achieve that 13 million qubits, faster than you think. It wouldn't be like 1,000 years; it'd be like maybe 50 years that we get to 13 million qubits because of the exponential nature of the advancement of computing technology. So we're a far way off from that happening. No, Bitcoin's not broken. Bitcoin's not going to zero. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. But nonetheless, this is a really interesting thing to think about. And we will have quantum. Bitcoin doesn't just break all of a sudden with quantum computing, okay? Because one, Bitcoin is based off the same encryption as pretty much everything we use. And it's just like the standard, SHA-256. Okay, so if Bitcoin breaks, everything breaks, okay? And it doesn't break. You just update the algorithm. It's all. You just have to have a fork of Bitcoin. And your coins are safe, okay? All right? And another thing, too, is that with the quantum computing, you would have to know the public address of an address that had Bitcoin on it to crack it. Because the whole thing would be like, you would be able to figure out someone's private keys from their public key. Because right now it's just a one-way function. You can only get public keys from private keys, not private keys from public keys. But with quantum computing, it's speculated that you'll be able to go the opposite way. But you would have to know an address with Bitcoin on it. And you don't know that address until someone sends the Bitcoin to it, which is a feature of Bitcoin. I'm not going to really get into it, but it's not as easy as you'd think with the quantum computing thing. It doesn't just break Bitcoin all of a sudden. And like I said, it just requires an update. It will happen. It will happen eventually. All encryption algorithms break. But it really just requires an update. It's just the whole world is just not going to end because of quantum computers. Like, your bank account's just not going to, oh no, it's all over because quantum computers know my bank account info. Like, it'll be quantum encryption algorithms. And it'll be just so ridiculously like the numbers will just be so like mind-boggling. They're already mind-boggling in Bitcoin. I should have mentioned this earlier. AI firm Genius Group launches $10 million Bitcoin Treasury embracing Bitcoin first strategy. It's just like boring now. You hear that. It's like, oh, another company wants to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. Big deal. This is the stories. These are the last stories of the episode I wanted to get to. Schiff is yelling at Bitcoin again. He thinks that Bitcoin is public enemy number one. And that he's really scared that we're going to implement this Bitcoin reserve. Once again, has provided no reason as to why it's a bad idea. And is just freaked out because we want to sell gold to buy Bitcoin. And Schiff is the gold bug of all gold bugs. And I think he's scared that his gold bags will lose value if this happens. And he just cannot and will never. I think he will just be a permanent Bitcoin hater. He will never just be like, yeah, Bitcoin's great. I was wrong. He won't do it. Like, this guy's his dedication to hating Bitcoin is insane, amazing. And if you took his advice and never bought Bitcoin, like a lot of people have, you'd be watching it go to $100,000. He's been saying this since it was like $1,000, maybe even lower. No, my Bitcoin, it's going to zero. These idiots. 10,000. It's going to zero. 20. It's going to zero. 30. Blah, blah, blah. How many times, dude? When can't you just say okay, Bitcoin's kind of cool. We're all on the same team here, by the way, but he's just, I think he's freaked out that we're going to sell our gold and buy Bitcoin. Clearly. And he thinks it would I don't know where these guys are getting this. It would destabilize it would just crash our economy or something. If we buy bit, we got to be first too. We can't be the second or third. We need to be the first one of the party. Otherwise, other countries are gonna do it. Like, if we're first, we can appreciate the price growth the most, benefiting us. I just don't see how it's a bad idea. If someone could explain it to me, if I'm not seeing something, I don't understand how having a Bitcoin reserve, being the first one to adopt it, is a bad idea. This guy's just being intellectually dishonest. I think this article even says, sell it all. Peter Schiff urges Biden to ditch the U.S. Bitcoin reserves before Trump's return. This guy is just reckless. He's so freaked out. He says here, Schiff, the one good thing Biden can do before leaving office is sell all the Bitcoin currently held by the U.S. government. Not only will the money raised reduce the 2024 budget deficit, but it would put an end to all the nonsense about creating a harmful strategic Bitcoin reserve. Oh, man. He would just never come around. It's amazing. Gold's market cap doesn't stand a chance against Bitcoin. Ew. Biden can do him a favor by selling it all. That way Trump won't have to break that campaign promise. It's so ridiculous. This guy just can't. He won't come around. He can't do it. I mean, the U.S. holds two. If Biden did that, ooh, that would be so dirty. It'd be so obvious too. I mean, it's already so obvious, but it's just like, ugh, that would be nauseating if he. That would just be so pathetic because there are so many more important things to do, other than sell all the Bitcoin, because he hates Trump that much. Just wants to make him look. That would just be so disgusting. They've already done so many disgusting things, but if that happened, it would just. That would get to me the most. Ugh. But Peter Schiff, just God, you're just like unbelievable. Your dedication to being a Bitcoin hater. All right, folks, that ends the news portion of the episode. Moving on to our educational segment of the episode, and I don't really have a visualization for you here, but I'm just going to talk about the Byzantine generals problem and how Bitcoin solved this problem thought to be unsolvable in computer science. All the Byzantine generals problem is this thought experiment in computer science, and it is the idea that you couldn't reach consensus in a decentralized system without a central intermediary. And it's called the Byzantine generals problem because it's some generals surrounding a city with their armies, and they have to communicate with each other and agree on whether or not to attack the city or retreat. But it doesn't matter if they retreat or attack, but they have to reach majority consensus. But the issue is how can they trust each other? How do they know the message hasn't been tampered with? They need a trusted central intermediary to mediate these messages and to interpret the information. And this was a constant problem in decentralized systems, hence why none have succeeded to the scale of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin has until Bitcoin. They all failed because of centralized control, and they just never succeeded. But how Bitcoin solved this was with proof of work, and it did this by mining. Byzantine generals problem. I'll bring up some page here. How Bitcoin solved the Byzantine generals problem, and the way in which proof of work solves this is that, so to earn the right to add a block of transactions to the Bitcoin blockchain, you need to put in a lot of work. You need to expend a lot of electricity and computing resources to guess the number, the random number we'll call it, to earn the right to add a block to the blockchain, to earn the right to add these transactions to the blockchain. You can't just add transactions without putting in the work. And the only way that you can arrive at that solution, that cryptographic puzzle, is by doing the work. So everyone else in the network knows that you did the work to arrive at that solution, because they can check your answer. They can check if this is legitimate. It should be very difficult to arrive at that solution, that random number, but it should be extremely easy to check the work. You should be able to do it super easy, but arriving at that number is very difficult. But like I said, you can know with absolute certainty that they had to do the work to be able to earn the right to add this block to the blockchain. And so, and so this keeps people a lot more honest. Because why would you put all this work into finding this solution, all this energy, all this money, all this investment, all this time, do all this work if you're going to be dishonest? Okay? If you're going to provide dishonest information and you're not going to follow the rules of the network, because then you won't make money. I mean, that's also, you make money in Bitcoin because it's the block reward. And so it keeps the system much more honest without requiring people to have to trust each other. That's the whole thing with Bitcoin, is that the whole Byzantine generals problem is like, how do we know that these generals are being honest? You don't. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin, is that you don't need to trust anybody in the network. All you need to do is trust that the rules are being followed, because all of this work that's being put in, it keeps people honest. This proof of work that you have to put in to arriving at this solution. And that's how Satoshi figured out the Byzantine generals problem, was proof of work, literally, just implementing it. And then also with public and private key cryptography, being able to quickly verify the legitimacy of the work that was done by checking it with certain cryptographic techniques. Like I said, it should be very difficult to arrive at the solution, but extremely easy and quick to check, which is what validators do in Bitcoin, which is why they don't need super powerful computing hardware. They can just quickly check it with their laptops and be like, okay, let's add this to the chain. This is cool. We will accept this as the blockchain. And so, yeah, that's just kind of a brief overview of how Bitcoin solved the Byzantine generals problem with proof of work. And that's just something a lot of people don't know about. I will put a link down in this description if you want to read more into it. It's a really interesting aspect of Bitcoin that so many people just don't know about. But yeah, Byzantine generals problem, baby. Bitcoin solved it. All right, folks. Thank you once again for listening. I deeply, deeply appreciate everybody. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment, whatever you want to do. And yeah, until next time, I bid you farewell on your cryptocurrency journey.